So I'm here with Joe. Just got done playing Star Seeker. Joe, how long have you been on the team for the game?
I have been on the team since 2017.
Okay.
So right after early access launch.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's out in early access state right now. People can play it.
For Starseeker?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm for Astroneer.
Astroneer.
Got it.
Yeah. Starseeker is the planned ship date's 2026.
Okay.
We're still in alpha right now. We're testing stuff out, but we are having a beta later end of this year, early next year. And you can sign up for that, starseekergame.com. And yeah, we'll be giving people beta access and letting them try the stuff out that we saw today.
So we played on controller. Are you going to have mouse and keyboard support at time of beta or all that as well?
Yeah. We're going to have both. We learned a lot from Astroneer. And one of the things we learned is like designing the game around mouse and keyboard was a little bit hard. And if you were playing on a gamepad, it was kind of tough. So we started with designing the game on a gamepad, knowing that we were going to be on consoles. And then we figured, all right, cool. Then we'll make sure that the controls are good later for mouse keyboard.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And this game is obviously like a different scope. It's not necessarily a massive multiplayer game, but you're going to have a larger single planet that everyone that's playing is connected to, or just is it going to be servers with a cap? What's kind of the scope there?
Yeah, so we're calling it, I think, a massively collaborative game. It is an online game. It is an always online game. And it's a game where everyone is part of one big crew. So all the players that are playing the game are interacting with the ESS Starseeker, which is this big star station. And essentially, everyone's working together towards the station's goals. And those can be anything from like learning more about the planet or getting resources to advance technology on the space station. But the whole idea is that everyone is doing their own missions and has their own progression, but all of that is in service of the greater good and the greater goal for Starseeker.
Okay.
And then like functionally, we're going to have a social space that has like a lot of players in it that are running around like other social spaces in other games. I think ours will be really cool. We'll share more details about that later.
Sure.
But the actual servers for like a game, so if you go down on an expedition, you're going to land on a planet. And while you're on a planet, you might run into other squads. And they're doing their own missions. They're doing their own gameplay. And all the planets in this game, different from Astroneer, they're all the same space. They have all the same landmarks, all the same POIs. Everything is in there in the same spot. And so you kind of learn more about the planet as you explore more about it. And you take that knowledge into future expeditions as you go.
And you guys are going to have, I think the best way to explain it is like an extraction light, right? You've got some extraction elements. You're not an extraction game.
Yes.
But you have a certain amount of time to complete your mission on the planet. And that's basically portrayed through oxygen, right? Because in the first game, oxygen was the big thing. You had to set tethers and do all that. And then in this one, you're making it more of an action adventure. So you're going to have more freedom, I guess is the best way to put it.
Totally. Yeah. We didn't want to just like make another survival game. And so we definitely been inspired by extraction games. We are like explicitly not trying to make an extraction game, but we like think there's really cool mechanics there. And one of them is this idea of like learning about the map, progressing within the map and that knowledge and sharing that between you and your future expeditions. And then I think also like that idea of like session-based gameplay where when you think about a game like ours, you can infinitely deform. You can change the terrain all you want. And we can't keep that forever for everyone, right?
Right.
The planet will become a wasteland of like broken everything. And so we reset it for you, but like you might run into somebody who's already looted the thing that you came up on, or they've already interacted with a bunch of creatures that like normally might be there. And it's kind of a fun thing where you see like other people doing their own work on the planet. The big thing about extraction games that we don't have is like we don't have any PvE elements, PvP elements.
Right.
It's all about the environment. It's all about us as a crew working with each other in the environment. So that's where it's a bit different.
Very cool. Now, last question I have for you. You mentioned upgradability of your character and things like that. Are we going to see customization like Astroneer? Are we going to see like an RPG aspect in this as well to a certain extent?
So I got two things there. One, on one side of it, we'll definitely see progression stats. Like we'll see you're upgrading your gear. Some of the stuff that you saw in the demo today is like the water nozzle or the shock lasso and things like that. Those things will be upgradable. There's better versions of them that have more functionality. So that's kind of how you progress. And you also will progress with individual NPCs on the station. So like the crew command is going to be sending you on things and then giving you rewards. As far as customization on the other side, like cosmetic stuff, it's not at all like Astroneer. We got rid of any like microtransactions in the game. And so we're doing basically a currency that you earn by playing the game. There's an in-game like shop where you can find cosmetics and you just purchase them with that currency. You don't have to spend any money on it.
Cool.
Yeah, so we got rid of that, and we're still going to have outside of game purchases like packs, supporter packs, and things like that.
Sure.
But they're very like, we're going to do a few of those every once in a while. And they're completely optional, and they're real money. There's no buy this currency, then buy a thing. It's very much like, hey, buy the game, and if you want to spend extra $5, you can get a cool thing. And it's very transparent. There's no other layer in between there.
So I said last question, but I got one more for
It's
you.
fine. You can ask as many as you want.
Are you gonna have cowboy hats?
We are. We will definitely have cowboy hats. I will
Awesome.
regret saying this because someone's gonna be like, "Now I have to make that." But that's okay. We had one in Astroneer. It took a while to add it. It was actually quite a meme for a while in Astroneer, and I'm glad we have them now. One other thing I didn't mention that's also different, if I may, is we're also going to have cross progression and cross play across all of our platforms. That's another thing too, where it's like, all right, we're not going to charge you if you play on another platform. We're not going to make you pay for another thing on there. It's like, no, unlock all your stuff, and if you want to go to another platform, you got to buy the game again, but you'll have all your stuff, you'll have all your progression. You can play with other people from other platforms. So we've like knew that was a problem for Astroneer, but we made so many decisions a long time ago that we couldn't undo it. So we're really happy to have that for this game.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for meeting with me.
Thank you so much.
Tyler, thank you for having me to check out Aether
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Iron. The game was really cool.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
What was kind of the team's inspiration for Aether and Iron? Where did you guys come up with the idea?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think there's quite a few different kind of areas, inspiration that it came from. I think for the game overall, we knew that we wanted to do a turn-based tactics game, like the slow strategy thinking, and we knew we wanted to do something different. So we're like, if we do with cars, it's moving, but they need to be cool cars. So 1930s, that's done. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's make them flying, right? Let's add that little sci-fi element. And then as the narrative guy, I then had to be like, okay, what is a world where that makes sense, right? And so we built out the entirety kind of from there of like, okay, if it's the 1930s, they have this technology, what does that mean? How did it develop? How did it grow, build? What are the types of characters we have? But outside of that, I mean, there's so many different other references, places that we started. You know, Gangs of New York.
Okay.
I love that film.
It was a good one.
And I mean, Philip Marlowe.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe, Mrs. Rutledge would like to see you before you leave, sir. And about the money, the general has instructed me to give you a check for whatever you require.
Instructed you how?
Oh, I see, sir. I forget that you're a detective. By the way, he rang his bell, sir.
Oh. You write his checks?
I have that privilege.
Good for you. Well, I don't need any money now, but when I do, I get $25 a day in expenses.
Yes, sir.
Type of thing, old detective stuff from the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
I love the old World's Fairs and the kind of just like the hope, the innovation, the idea of building a better future, the utopianism, and studying that. My background is in history, and so a lot of the stuff that we put together is me being very excited because I read this niche little story about something that happened in like 1873, and I'm like, guys, I have to tell you about it. And I'm like, fine, we'll put it in the game. So we got it from all over the place. But I think that's kind of I don't know, a lot of the fun stuff. Yeah.
So you said you were on the narrative team. What position do you hold?
I'm the narrative lead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So I have a team of 5 writers underneath me, and we've been working on this game for a long time, and I have an absolutely spectacular team.
Awesome.
I am really lucky with who I have. They bring so much experience. They've worked on things like BioShock and Far Cry and Dragon Age, Riot's Arcane, Sovereign Syndicate, D&D.
Awesome.
Like also just
really good team.
Oh man, they are well, and beyond being just so skilled and talented, they're just the nicest people. And I'm very lucky. I could gush about them for a very long time, but they're just the nicest people. Love working with them, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely see a lot of the influence from BioShock and things like that in there.
Yeah.
I mean, your guys' writing is really good, honestly.
Oh, well, thank you.
The
Appreciate
delivery of the voice actors, the actual script
Yeah.
itself, the narration, all of it is very enticing. I didn't want to stop playing, to be honest with you. It's very
that's
cool.
very flattering. Thank you very much.
The art style is also really unique. I think that's really cool. It gives a very, I don't want to say pen and paper, but very hand-drawn vibe, and I think that's really cool.
Well, I think, so I guess to brag about the art team for a little while, again, I think we're just, I don't know if it's that we're just extremely lucky, but somehow we just ended up with this spectacular people across the board. I mean, the art team, they work so hard to bring one of the writers like, hey, so this is a really weird idea.
That's a great start.
How can you make this look good? And they're like, we take care of it. And they make something, and it just looks phenomenal. And so I think 1930 sci-fi New York has allowed us the opportunity to be like, okay, real historical places that actually existed that are amazing and have all these stories. What happens if that, but sci-fi version or retro sci-fi version? And it's come with its challenges, but again, the art team, phenomenal. Our art director, Gary Jensen, is just great he's very patient with the writing team of when we're like, hey, can you do this, but like bigger and on a budget? And he's like, okay.
Very important part of the budget there.
yeah. And he figures it out, and he's led a phenomenal team. So very lucky.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I noticed your guys' dice system seems slightly inspired by maybe Disco Elysium. Is that kind of your own design? Was there some inspiration drawn from Disco, or?
Well, look, we would be honored to be mentioned in the same breath as Disco Elysium.
Well, you just were.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the type of thing of where, look, that's in a league of its own.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And while, I mean, it's a fantastic game, great game, and yeah, we played that, we loved it, and we took that and we wanted to build on that a little bit at times. And so with the dice roll mechanics, we're like, okay, how can we make this ours?
Yeah.
Obviously trying to tweak it to fit our game, but I mean, we played Disco, we played Baldur's Gate, and we're like, these are amazing games. And then it's what you do in your free time influences in your work. So
of course.
That's why my writers give me a hard time for writing lines from Pirates of the Caribbean on occasion. And they're like, Tyler, you can't do that. And I was like, but it's good. And okay, we'll take it out. But
so you're telling me there isn't a line in here that asks why the rum is gone?
Why is the rum gone?
Look, we there may be too many Pirates of the Caribbean references in that, and maybe Sky Captain.
Emergency Protocol 90206, calling Sky Captain. Come in, Sky Captain. Repeat, calling Sky Captain. Come in, Sky Captain. This is an emergency protocol 90206, calling Sky Captain. Sky Captain, do you read?
Which,
Yeah.
It's a movie that exists.
Okay.
But it holds a special place in our hearts.
So I like the branching choices you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really played a lot of games like that outside of Disco and Baldur's Gate that
yeah.
have that level. I mean, I had the option to take the gin there at the beginning, and I was like, well, let's see what happens with this. And it seems like the bartender's a little upset with it, but by taking it, it gave me the option to kind of trade it to the cabbies to get them to leave Reinhardt alone, which great name for a character.
Thank you. I can't take credit for that. One of my writers, I hate naming things. My least favorite thing, I will leave things unnamed, and I'll just be like, come up with something better, please. But when it comes to branching, we wanted to, I think that the issue is, it starts with, we're a small team, limited resources.
Right.
We like to think of ourselves as a light RPG. And because we can't do the full customization thing, we can't do the full massive branches. But what we wanted to do is provide some degree of branching storytelling. So we kind of we have a spectrum of decisions you can make. On one side, you have conversational things, way that you can interact with the people, you can role play, you can kind of alter how the conversation goes. But then, going a little bit further, we have mutually exclusive missions based off the choices you make, or we have significant portions of the game altered by if you choose to, say, allow a certain character to die. And we wanted to provide, where we could, some just really big emotional moments based off of what the player's doing. And then on the end of that spectrum is that we wanted to have a series of endings that reflects the characters you meet in the game. So, you met a handful, or two of the main characters, but we have a pretty decent sized cast of people that you can interact with. You'll be able to, you'll recruit 4 heroes over the course of the game. You can play with 2 in your party at any one time. You can mix and match and upgrade as you want. But each of those are people that are we spend a lot of time building these individuals, and we wanted to make sure that when you interact with them, that reflected in their ending. We tried finding a way to make all the endings all come together in a nice little bow didn't work that well. So by having each character plot point, or not each character, but a lot of the big characters, they have their own story that depending how you interact with them, how you nudge them one way or the other, then it's going to change where they end up. So that's kind of our spectrum from flavor and role play, big mission changes, and then impacting the endings.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
As far as, is it Gia?
Gia,
yeah. As far as her stats go, are we going to be able to kind of select those at the beginning? Are they set and then they develop as they go?
Yeah, no, good question.
Yeah.
I think, like I mentioned before, we're still working on parts of the game, still under active development. So we're still working on what it means for her, or the player, to start with her in the game. But when it comes to upgrading over the course of the game, we have 3 different kind of broad categories of stats. We've got smarts, hustle, and brass.
Like it?
Yeah, I mean, it feels noir, right? And then under those stats, there are different talents you can upgrade, right? For your hustle, it's going to be your smooth talking ability type of thing. For brass, it's going to be how well can you your enforcer, how well can you intimidate, that type of stuff. And so over the course of the game, you'll be able to upgrade those. It increases your ability to succeed those checks, but also it allows or impacts how combat goes, and it can you can change how you play your combat style based off of that. If you're an enforcer, then you're going to excel at being more physical in combat, about hitting really hard. But if you're more about hustle, it's going to be about being more evasive type of thing. So yeah, that's how you progress over the course of the game. And each of the heroes that you recruit to have a tree that you're able to upgrade and change over time to really shape how you want them to play, and then create a really good synergy for you.
Awesome. Well, I think the last question I've got for you, last 2 actually, what kind of overall length are you guys aiming for in terms of like how long your content is for the game?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we're shooting for around 20 hours, 15 to 20. I think the one thing that we've really prioritized is voice acting, full voice acting for the entire game.
And it's phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Again, I mean, I can't take credit for it. We have phenomenal voice actors. Is that because it's fully voiced, it does make the game go longer.
Sure.
Right? So, I mean, if there's a way to play the game with a drink in hand and just listening and playing through it, it's kind of that kind of very cozy, interactive experience. But then if you're just blitzing through it, it'd be a lot faster.
Sure.
But yeah, it goes longer, just enjoying the voice. Yeah.
Awesome. When can we expect maybe an announcement for a release date, or an early access, or maybe a beta, something along those lines?
Yeah, so we are looking to have a demo on the October Next Fest.
Okay.
And then we're looking at release early next year.
Very cool. Sweet, so I can play it again in
Yeah,
October.
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Releasing on PC as well as consoles,
Yes,
or are you just aiming for PC? Okay.
Looking at PC, yeah.
Any plans or maybe thoughts about bringing it to console in the future?
Look, we'll always look at opportunities to expand, and we would love to provide to players everywhere, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Oh, thank
appreciate
you. Really
having
appreciate
me.
the time. Yeah.
And thanks for taking the time to talk
No,
to us.
absolutely. Thank you.
Brian, thanks for meeting with me to check out Never's End.
Yeah, thanks for playing.
Tell me about the game. Kind of what was the scope of it? What were you guys hoping to achieve?
Yeah, so Never's End is a turn-based tactics RPG, and we wanted to make something where there's a lot more player expressivity at any moment in the battlefield. Like that can be seen a lot here. We're showing in PAX with the magic system, which we're showing heat magic, and it's all about just like moving heat from one spot to another. That's all you can do, but from that you can cause wind, you can make things freeze, set them on fire, you can trigger rain or fog based on how humid it is, and it all comes out of just one little spell. And that sort of principle is applied all over to like how melee works, to how pushing things works. Just like from little simple actions that you can do are all these emergent like systemic interactions in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what helped inspire this game, besides obviously other tactics, things of the art direction with...
I mean, so a lot of it is other tactics games for sure. Some of it is like wanting to see certain elements of tactics games get explored that weren't. Never's End is a open world, contiguous world that you walk through place to place. You don't go into like a world map and teleport around. It feels a lot more real, but also it's a lot more freeform in like how you're going to progress. So sort of like Breath of the Wild, where it's like, I want to go to Cannon, I'm going to fight the last boss right now and probably fail, where I'm going to go out and recover these temples. But on top of that, our world's also proc gen. So when you play or when I play, it might be like, oh, my water temple is in the jungle, yours is in the desert, and that is going to affect our strategies there because it's like a lot more wet in one, and that's going to let me use different type of magic in different ways. And you know, there's similar things we can discuss, but they're very different, unique experiences to each person.
And beyond the itemization that you guys have, is there going to be RPG aspect in the sense of like improving the character's stats and things of those nature?
Yeah, so it's very free. So there's no like classes in the game. You can sort of put any weapon you want on any character, and you're recruiting people. Well, in our game, you're technically possessing people, but they are sort of like a farmer will have one set of base stats, you know, a scholar a different set, a miner a different set. And then as you're sort of playing with them, they are getting more proficient in the types of weapons they use. But each day that passes, and time passes in the game every time you travel through the world, like from section to section, they're all adjacent, but you walk and then it's like an hour goes by, an hour goes by. And as time passes, the bodies you've possessed get more magically expensive to maintain. And eventually they're too expensive and you might have to let them go and find a fresh body to use. And sort of a lot of the game's about that, like what's this cost of doing this greater good of restoring this world where the normal humans can't save it on their own and they need you to essentially possess them to take them out into the darkness and finally rid it from the world, but they don't like the implications of that as well.
Sure. It's kind of doing evil to do good in a sense, right?
Yeah, and like what's worth doing what, right? Like it's, yeah.
Very cool. I like that idea. So you're going to go through a lot of characters, have a lot of people in your team. that
Yeah,
kind of
depending on how good you are and how good you do, yeah.
Gotcha.
And the game will track that.
I assume there's like permadeath, like if somebody dies in combat, they're done. You've got to
They're done, you gotta get someone new, yeah. And if the whole team wipes, you gotta sort of like fall back out of the world and come back a certain period of time in the future, and the world still grows a bit. So maybe you've like recovered a town, there's some ruins there, and you've told them like, oh, you should build an apothecary here. It's like, okay, that'll take a little while. But if you wipe and then come back to the world a little bit in the future, that'll be done and all built for you. So there's like some sort of benefits, but like,
Sure.
you know, some things that don't make it as harsh to like do a party wipe and then like come back fresh. But yeah.
What's the overall story? Like you said, it's the end of the world. You know,
Yeah, so
humans, so
there's sort of one town remaining when the game starts, and it's sort of mysteriously protected by this temple. And you spawn out of this temple in this room that's been sealed off for ages. Like, who are you? And a lot of the game is about figuring out who you are, what this past world is you came from, and what happened that like collapsed the world in for itself. Because you were kind of built to solve this problem that humanity can't do on their own, but you don't quite know why or how. And so you're sort of tracking down the source of all this corruption and like what put the world in this state, how you can use that to actually finally end it.
Well, the only other question I think I have for you is when can we expect to get our hands on it? Is there a demo coming soon?
We don't have anything official announced yet. I would like both of those to be as soon as possible, but once they're ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, like hopefully sometime next year it'll be out, and then demo, I don't have a specific date yet, but yeah.
I know a lot of people are aiming for Next Fest, Steam Next.
Yeah, I mean, like,
that's a target.
you can always, for any game, you can look at where the Next Fest is, and like, if they're in that Next Fest, they're probably releasing it before the next Fest, right? So, yeah, that'll probably be true for us as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you for taking your time to talk show me the game. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it in the future.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. All right, Alex, thanks for having us for the gameplay here.
No, of course.
We're very excited to see you back after last year when we met.
Yeah, it's been a year.
Yeah, I bet. So tell us what's changed in the game in the last year.
So yeah, we went back to the drawing board on the background. We wanted it to look more consistent with the comic art, and so we had our art director, Rachel Bennett, who's the main comic artist for the books, actually go in and redo all the background art, bring in new character portraits, things like that. So it really helped plus up the art on the game, which a lot of people here on the show floor have already been receptive to. So it's been wonderful.
Yeah, no, just in the time that I was sitting here playing, at least 3 or 4 people came up and were like, "Oh man, the art's great," which is what drew me in last year.
That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for those of viewers that didn't see our last podcast episode for last year, tell them kind of what's the story of War of Western Deep.
The game itself is an all-ages adventure game, hand animated in the classic fashion, 24 frames per second character animation, all done by hand. We wanted to really capture that look of the craft, the old school kind of craft of animation, and bring that to games in a compelling way. The game itself is a story about a royal courier, a messenger from a peaceful fantasy kingdom who goes into enemy territory with a very important secret letter from her king that she needs to deliver on the eve of war. She makes it across the drawbridge. It is destroyed. She's trapped in enemy territory, and war is declared. And she suddenly finds herself an enemy of the state, needs to build alliances with unlikely factions and find a way to defend her home
Cool.
from this surprise attack that is going to manifest shortly.
And this is all from a web novel, correct?
Yeah, so Beyond the Western Deep webcomic has been going strong since 2012. It's been an absolutely fantastic experience writing for that. And Rachel, of course, is the artist on that as well. Being able to tell a different story from the comic, the game and the comic run in sort of parallel paths. You don't need to have read the comic to know what's going on in the game, but you do see similar sort of situations unfolding. I think readers of the comic will really enjoy seeing the different perspectives in the game. And people who play the game who want a little bit more of the lore will be able to go to the comics and check that out.
So it's two separate stories in the same universe, basically?
Exactly,
Okay, great,
yeah.
cool. I guess the last question I have for you is, when can we expect to get our hands on it? On a demo or actual release?
A lot of players will be able to check it out on Steam. We're targeting Next Fest, so we'll have a demo available for that. It's going to be a slightly embiggened version of the show floor demo that we've got here. The game itself, we're targeting mid to late 2027. Hand animation is really hard to get out, so we're keeping that conservative, but you know, we're plugging away at it, and there really isn't any time when we're not working on the game, so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Well, it looks great. I really enjoyed the gameplay. The UI is very intuitive, very simple, basic concepts. Like, it feels very 90s, not just in animation, but in gameplay. It feels very like, you know, Monkey Island.
Monkey Island.
Yeah. It feels really good.
Like you hit the nail on the head. Like, we wanted to take the things that we liked about those old school adventure games, but find ways to adapt them. For example, we're targeting controller first.
Right.
We want to be able to hit consoles and not have to adapt the control scheme. So we're figuring out how can you have things like discoverability with hotspots and, you know, not have pixel hunting and things like that. So it's not really about finding secret little pixel-sized dots on the screen. It's about retaining information. It's about assembling clues. It's about being observant. It's about remembering basic things. Like, there's a blacksmith in town. Maybe they can fix this thing, as opposed to needing to, like, you know, mend it yourself using duct tape and baling wire. We're looking for that kind of vibe. And also, I'm a huge Quest for Glory fan. So having a little bit of combat, a little bit of role playing, a little bit of like stat boosting over the course of the game, like that's stuff that we're really excited about implementing as well. Makes it feel a little bit more like your character is growing along with you. So we're targeting all of that stuff. We're really excited.
Definitely an important thing for the hero's journey. Well, thank you for taking your time and letting me play the game.
Yeah, of course, Russ. Thank you so much. Have a great show.
Thank you. John, thanks for having me out to play Terrible Lizards. The game was really fun. What inspired you to make a horror platformer dino game?
I guess first off, I have a YouTube channel called JT Music. We have had a lot of fun making horror music, and we have built a huge audience that loves horror content. We love horror content.
Okay.
So we're going to take this big risk making a video game. Let's jump into this realm. But also, what do I love? What do we love to play? It's platforming games. And so I was like, we'll take the challenge and put the two together. And we also like the challenge. A lot of horror games strip speed away from you. That might give you a gun or some kind of like trinket or sense or something, but in this, you can move around. Yeah. You have nothing else.
You're jump and shoot, or well, you're jump man, not jump and shoot man.
Yeah.
Jump man.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a fun challenge to do and just a fun type of game, and ultimately like a fun time, like trial-y, skill-based platforming game you can easily carry over to just dinosaurs chasing you, or you have to outrun the cavern collapsing, or you have to run to that door before it falls on its own, like Indiana Jones, stuff like that. And so we build up to those moments. We teach players mechanics. You know, you can run, jump, slide, like ledge shimming and like jumping from ledge to ledge. There's wall running, there's bouncing on material that you'll find deep underground later on. So we stack those on and then teach the player, and then we put them to the test.
Nice.
And combine them in fun ways.
So tell us a quick bit about the story.
The game takes place in the early 1990s. New Mexico, you play as a college student named Jordan who's road tripping from Chicago out west of California to go to college. Car breaks down outside of this roadside attraction. No one's around. You call for some help. They say we're not going to be there for a while. So you just kill time. It's the 90s. There's nothing you can really do. There's no phone you can whip out or whatever.
Right, yeah.
I guess you could read a magazine if you had one. But so they go into the attraction to kill time. No one's there also. And so it's kind of figuring out what's happening. Where'd everyone go? Jordan, unfortunately, just gets deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole and just forced to a point of no return continuously. So they're going through the ringer, but the player probably have a lot of fun enjoying the story of what this person's going through, but, you know, navigating these different various kind of terrains as they keep going.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the controls. They felt really responsive, very Mirror's Edge-esque.
Yeah.
Like, just as responsive, just as tight as what I'd expect from Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
Like very just nailed the controls, which is obviously super important in a parkour game.
Yep, that's the core of what we got. So
Beyond that, I mean, just the level of interactability you have with the world really satisfies my like inner child of going to museums and seeing all these things and not being able to touch things.
Yeah.
Like there were light switches you can just sit there and endlessly flick on and off, and there's a giant globe you can just sit there and spend. Just a lot of really great, just childish interactions, which are really fun.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, what'd you do on the team?
So I'm the creative director and lead designer. Lead the team, manage them. Also, I designed every level, blocked it out. We use all the tools the programmers built, blocked it out, put it together, and the rest, the art team comes in and makes it look pretty.
And how many levels are there going to be?
There's going to be 4. Each level could take anywhere. I mean, from a reasonable person coming in for the first time, at the most, at the quick, it's probably 45 to an hour per level.
Okay.
It could be up to an hour and a half, but I comfortably say playthrough would be 4 to 6 hours.
Gotcha. Now, I do have a request.
Yeah.
So there is a dinosaur plushie that I was able to pick up. You got to put an achievement in for completing the game with that guy all the way through.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're into that. Yeah. I mean, we put it in there, obviously, and expected some people to pick it up and carry it, but it's like almost 80% of all players that so far at PAX have picked it up and taken it the whole time.
I mean, it's cute. It's a cute little plush, man.
Yeah, so
very cool. Great.
We'll do a gnome or eggplant Easter egg like from other games that have done it before. So
very cool. So when can we expect to see a demo or maybe a release?
Yeah, so we'll hope to have a demo through Next Fest, possibly February or June of next year, and the game will come out late summer next year.
Solo on PC, or are you aiming for console release in the future?
For sure on PC, on Steam.
Yeah.
And if we can work some partnerships and figure some things out on porting, then we'll definitely do that. We're first-time devs, so we're going to keep, as long as what we can do, we're going to keep that narrow so we can do that really well. But if we bring on partners, then we'll definitely expand.
Well, I think you guys have done a great job keeping your scope set on your vision and not letting it balloon out of proportion or anything like that. For first-time devs, it's pretty impressive.
It definitely happened, but reeled it back a lot at the same time.
Well, if there's anything that you would like to tell the audience about what development is actually like, right? Because I think there's this huge disconnect. It's one thing that I'm going to start asking people at PAX that I interview. There's this big disconnect between what gamers think game development look like and what it actually is. So if you had to speak on your own experience and like things you've learned and what it actually looks like, what would you tell people?
Good question. I'm not the first to say this, but a lot of game developers feel this way, is that it's a miracle any of this stuff works. It all comes together. It's really super interdisciplinary. Everyone's coming together and just throwing different things together. So like we have 2 programmers, like they know to code and put things together, but everyone else are just really good at something else that they did in like film and animation. And so like that stuff and sound design, like all that stuff, we're all really good in that field, but then it also does translate. It translates pretty well as long as you have some technical savvy and you can understand the engine and get in there. But the issue is getting everyone there, doing it at the same time, timing it all right, working the bottlenecks, a lot of like project management, organizing. And it's not easy. There's a million things someone can do once they walk in the room. And so you can do your best, but it's hard to get out of your own head. So you have to test a lot. I don't know. I'm not doing a great job answering this.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'd say it's a hard question to answer. Yeah. Got to put you on the spot asking it. But it's something that, I mean, I see it a lot in the gaming community and the podcasts that we do is like, it seems like there's constant just hate from gamers on games and like a demand that the game has to be their way. And the reality is like, it's your project. It's your creation.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say no one wants to make a bad game. Everyone here, they love what they're doing. They love the thing that they're making. Now, maybe at a huge company and there's a billion people on the team, maybe not, but like most games are, made by people who care. And they're just trying to do their best. It's one of those things where it's like, you can not like it, but don't assume we didn't care, we didn't try. Incompetent. Like it's just
a lot of tears, blood, and sweat going to these games.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, John, thank you very much. The game is very fun. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Steven, thanks for having us to play Volunteers Ascension. The game's really great. The controls feel really tight, really responsive. The art style is honestly what really attracted me to the game, as well as kind of your fated bond system, because that seems very unique to Metroidvania games, right? They don't usually have companions. Can you tell us a little bit more about that system?
The fated bonds, they're like the equitable character to help you finishing your progress in the game. Because as you can see, here is more focused on the melee combat. So the fated bonds allows you to do the range attack or the support. Like for example, the ephemer, the guy who traps the enemy. If there's a lot of enemy, the game will be really hard if you're not going to use the fated bonds. So the game should be revolving use. But we have this challenge for our team that maybe there will be some achievement not using fated bonds, but it will definitely make the game really hard.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good hard mode trophy
Yeah,
to go
that's
after.
right,
Something
yeah.
really fun to kind of aspire to. So can you tell us a little bit about the story of Fallen Tier?
So the story of Volunteer, it's about the two gods, the light and dark fighting. This one, the light is the evil one, and the dark is more like the good on this universe. Here, his job is to help the god to cleanse the corruption within the light.
There's a demo out available on Steam right now, correct?
Right.
Are you guys aiming for a 2026 release date, or where are you kind of looking for potential release, I guess?
So we're planning to release the game by March.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
really soon.
Right now, we're on the polishing stage.
Okay.
And if we see the build is already and we're very confident about the product, then we want to release the game by March. That's our goal.
So I noticed there's an in-game currency. So tell me more about the currency system and what's going to be available to purchase.
So same with the JRPG, you have a town here. So it's a Metroidvania, but there's a lot of town. So on the town, you can use the currency to buy some contracts or to buy some upgrades for your character.
So there'll be some RPG aspects, which
That's
we see in
right.
other Metroidvania games and things of that line.
That's right.
Very cool. You're aiming for a Steam release. Are you guys going to plan on coming to console in the future?
Released first on Steam, and then after that, we plan to port on all consoles.
Well, I have one more question for you. It's one I just recently started asking pretty much everybody at PAX. There is a very big disconnect between the gaming community and what video game development actually looks like. So if you had to explain to the community the challenges through the scope of developing a game, how would you help them understand what that process actually looks like?
It depends on the type of game. For example, the Metroidvania, it seems looks easy, right? Because it's just a 2D platforming game. But in reality, there's a lot of aspect that they need to understand. Like, for example, if we really wanted to have a good mechanics in the game, even a small tweak on the mechanics will affect everything. That's why there's a misconception with the players. They think it's easy to fix. It's not. If we found a good feedback with the community and we try to apply it, we need to QA the game from the very start again and see if there's nothing wrong. Especially if the game is finished and if you try to make a tweak on the game, you have to definitely check all over again just to find out it's not making any bugs.
So there's a lot of QA that goes into making even the
Exactly.
smallest tweaks. I think it was, I don't remember if it was Notch, but I remember hearing a game quote where it was something along the lines of, like, you fix the sky and the textures turn purple, you know, things like
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Steven. The game looks awesome. I will probably download the demo on my Steam Deck and just jam on it. It's really cool. Your art direction's beautiful.
Thank you.
Gameplay's very fun and responsive. You have a great product. I'm looking forward to full
Yeah.
release.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you again. So thanks for having us here to play God Save Birmingham. I appreciate you making time for us. We saw you guys last year. We didn't get a chance to talk, but I did play the tech demo that you had, and a lot has changed since then. So can you walk me through some of the changes you've made?
Some of the improvements were definitely made in the animation department, where things are a lot smoother, more polished, as well as we added more parkour type animations where you can vault over slightly higher, I wouldn't say surfaces, but like fences and things like that. We added the axe as a new weapon. Food now spoils, goes bad over time. And with that, we added cooking. Right now, just the pottage where you would add water, add ingredients, and have them cook. And then you can actually ladle it into a bowl and then have it later as well.
Well, I can say that it did feel a lot tighter. The animations looked a lot better. The jumping mechanic felt really good. I was able to jump like a little bit of a gap from, a second story balcony over to like a broken roof, which was really cool. The axe was a really cool new weapon. Dismemberment was really fun. I love to see that in video games. It's just, it adds a level of realism and enjoyment, right? You knock a zombie down and smash their skull and stuff like that. So, a lot of fun there. The team has recently grown. You've added some new talent, I guess, and you've gone from 2 to 20 people.
Yeah, it gradually grew in size over the span of a little over a year.
Do you have a demo coming out soon?
We actually do have pre-alpha coming in October.
All right.
We have the signups up on our Steam store page. You can find a news post on it where we have a Google Forms. It serves partially as a tech demo, and we want to make sure that people have a pleasant experience. So we do ask for computer specs. Since we're only in pre-alpha at the moment, so we want to make sure it doesn't come as a janky experience for our players.
Yeah, and I think it's important that players understand development to a sense of like, hey, it's early. Like, it's gonna have some jank, there's gonna be crashes, things like that, and that's to be expected, right?
Thank you.
So going into it with, I guess, a little bit of grace, right?
Yes.
So currently there's single player mode, and you have designs to add co-op during alpha?
Probably not during alpha, but for early access, we are thinking of adding online co-op.
And then the scope of the game, from what I recall last year, it takes place in Birmingham, and it's basically you versus the world kind of thing.
Pretty much the entire town has turned into zombies. So we are hoping to recreate the entire town of Birmingham. Right now, the demo you played has about a quarter of it. For early access, we hope to have the entire town ready. Based off of our research, the town's population back then were about 3,000 people.
There's currently a compass in the game, but you guys are talking about adding a map?
Yes, we are thinking of a map or something that can present to the players of where the lays of the town, practically speaking, because the character is a denizen of the town. He or she should know where things are already. We're just trying to find a way to present that to the players. That may be a map, maybe a slightly different way of doing it, but we're looking into how to do
some way to help the player navigate the city, because obviously walking around a life-size Birmingham in the medieval ages could get a little confusing.
Most definitely.
Right. What other mechanics are you guys planning on bringing to the game in terms of like building and crafting and things of those nature?
We are still in pre-alpha. It's a little early to say things are set in stone, but things we're definitely considering are in terms of, I wouldn't call it base building, but in terms of like decking out your place, you can find a spot that you like, and we're thinking of allowing crafting of like furnitures. You can create a fireplace and a bed and barricade the doors, create locks, create fences to kind of safeguard your little home. We're also gonna have, for lack of a better way to put it, durability system where like blade of an axe can go dull and you'd have to sharpen it. If it comes loose off the shaft, you have to repair it, things like that. We're also planning to add various life skills like hygiene, and which means you would have to clean your clothes, which leads into laundry being a life skill that you can level up and improve upon. And then we're also looking into various other like mental stats and statuses, potentially guilt, because everyone you're killing around you are your neighbors.
Oh, that's a fair point. You know, these are the people that you potentially grew up with.
Exactly,
right? So I didn't even consider that angle. That's very cool. That's very cool. So last question I have for you, man, is how has the feedback been? Have people been enjoying what you guys have to show? Like, has there been a lot of good feedback from the show so far?
Definitely. First off, we get a lot of interest, which is greatly encouraging for the team, and we're greatly appreciative. And we have been hearing a fair bit of feedback from players of all genres, but especially like survival, zombie games, and then of course like players who like the Middle Ages. So it's been tremendously helpful to hear those feedback, and the team is taking in as much as they can and trying to incorporate them into the development process of what they're working on right now and what they will work on in the future as well.
Okay, well, thank you for having us. We enjoyed the game, and we're looking forward to seeing more in the future.
It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
The first question I wanted to ask you is kind of just an icebreaker. When you guys were recording voice lines for the cows in Diablo 2, did you just walk around the office and go say moo?
We actually, everybody in the office got to go around and record the moo line. We had the idea of like everybody contributing to that. And so every single person in the entire company got to do a line.
That's so cool.
That was fun.
For those who don't know, tell us about your legacy, man. I mean, it's huge to me.
Well, I've been in the industry now for 35 years, something like that. I don't know, a long time. Started out making games on the Super Nintendo and Genesis. Atari Lynx actually was the very first product made a game on. Did Game Boy and Game Gear games, but I'm most well known for being president of Blizzard North and creating Diablo 2. Left and made Flagship Studios in Hellgate, London, the first looter shooter, and then made Marvel Heroes, which is a Marvel-themed ARPG. Then left and made my own independent game company called Greybeard Games, where I did a game all by myself. I did everything, the art, the music, the engine, all the programming, the design, all that stuff. So that was a really fun project to work on. It's really successful and did Game Pass with it and all sorts of stuff. So, and then started a publishing company in 2020 with my partner, Bill Wang, and I created Skystone Games. And I've been doing that since.
Cool. And you also run Greybeard Studio, correct?
Yeah, I still do Greybeard Games and I still program almost every day. I'm working on something right now. Kind of on my spare time, kind of, I'm doing it.
So what are some complications you've run into moving from, the big name of Blizzard?
Much different world.
Yeah.
There are complications, but there are also simplicities. When you're making a big project at a big company, there's a lot of people's voices and some executive management voices that you have to satisfy and things like that. So it doesn't really, you don't have as much control. When you're doing games as a small studio, you're much more involved and you're less likely to get that thing canceled if you're the one funding it. Right. So there's like a lot of advantages to that, but there's definitely disadvantages. Can't make the world's biggest game and stuff like that. I don't know if that's really a disadvantage or not, but it's very different.
Well, speaking on, pleasing the voices, I know that Diablo was initially going to be a turn-based RPG.
It was.
And you were pushed kind of into making it an action RPG, one of the first, if not the first ever.
Yeah.
How were your thoughts about that at the time, and have they changed seeing the success of Diablo and Diablo 2?
Well, they changed the moment that I actually did it. The idea for it and the inspiration for it was I started playing these games in college that were on the computers. They just had ASCII stuff. So the games were games like Rogue, where the term roguelike comes from, and some of its offshoots, things like Mori and Angband and NetHack and all these kind of games that were made in that kind of genre. I got really into those, and that was an inspiration. So when we were pitching Diablo, basically the pitch was it's like one of those games, a rogue game, but with graphics instead of letters. So those games were turn-based, and permadeath. When you died, your character, and you could just spend tons and tons of times, months on a character and instantly have it die. It was really palm sweaty kind of moment. So I was really hesitant to change the design. At the time, they were Silicon and Synapse, but changed their name to Blizzard, agreed to be the publisher for the game. They hired us to do it. And they suggested, hey, maybe you should think about changing it to real time. I was like, no, it ruins all the strategy, all the depth, all of the sweaty palm moments of like, oh my God, my character's almost dead. I've been working on it for 2 weeks. This is terrible. And you rage quit, and then you come back a couple days later. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But eventually we had a vote for all the people at Blizzard North, got together in the kitchen. We had a vote. About 17 or so hands went up. There were about 20 of us or whatever. And a bunch of hands went up about changing it to real time. And then the turn-based people lost. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so we sent everybody home. And that weekend, I changed it from turn-based to real time. And the moment that I clicked on the mouse, the player walked over and bashed a skeleton apart with his face. I was like, the clouds parted and the sun shone down, and like, oh, this holy moment of, oh my God, this is amazing. This is definitely the right way to go. And we never looked back, and I don't regret it for a minute. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Awesome. Sometimes, occasionally, those boardroom decisions work out for the best for everybody.
Yeah.
I would say those moments are rare, for sure.
Yeah.
So It Lurks Below is the game you were referring to, right? You did kind of all yourself. What did you learn from that experience? Are you taking away into your next project?
Yeah. I've got other projects in the works. I mean, we also are doing Skystone Games, my publishing company. We have a lot of product coming out for that. We just had a game called Tiny Bookshop that came out that's doing really well. We've got a couple other games that we're featuring here at the show, including Mistfall Hunter, as well as Black Jacket and Arcane Eats, some others. I'm still really busy doing that. But with the Graybeard game stuff, I am working on things. I'm working on a game right now that I'm not ready to talk about, but it is very different than anything I've ever done before. At its core, it's still an RPG. It's still got stats and equipment and all this kind of randomness and all this kind of stuff. But it is very different than anything that's out there, and kind of a game that I don't think that people would expect that I would make. So we'll see.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the new step that I think it's Moonstone Studios, where
Moonbeast.
Moonbeast, their new ARPG that just recently kind of got leaked looks really unique for what they're doing. So I'm curious to see what your project ends up being.
I still talk with those guys all the time. They only live a few blocks from me.
Oh,
so
really?
we see each other all the time. I'm in a group chat with them. We text all day long. So I'm hanging out with Max and Erica a lot.
That's super cool. I have killed Shank the Overseer probably about 1 million times over my life. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool. I wanted to shift gears and ask you kind of your thought on AI in games, right? Like, as an indie and as well as a big AAA developer, I'm sure you've got maybe an interesting take on the advent of AI and where it fits in game design.
You know, AI, I think it's it's a tough thing to kind of deal with. It's going to be a really tricky subject, simply because I don't like how they basically build a lot of generative AI on the backs of artists, and nobody gets any credit or anything like that. So I don't really like that aspect of it. However, I don't know if there's anything that we can do to really stop it. I think it is inevitable. And I think that it is going to become a tool that is commonplace in the future. And it may be controversial now, and I understand why, and I'm worried about that aspect of it. But I think that it's just going to end up being too powerful of a tool, and people will end up using it over and over again.
Have you encountered any challenges in finding good employees as a result of AI? Have you seen a lot of people leaning on that instead of being creative in their own right?
No, I think that there have definitely been pitch decks and things like that that I've received that have got generative AI images and things like that. I can't tell whether or not for something like coding, on a coding thing, like if a script was written by AI or not. Can't tell that really. Or maybe some of the story was inspired by AI or whatever. That's like, it's kind of the first draft is done by AI and then somebody kind of spruces it up or makes it better. I think it's really hard to tell that. I mean, hell, schools are having trouble with that. So I think that it is going to be a tool that a lot of people use and can kind of disguise at this point, and it's going to be tough to determine where that goes and whether or not people will be able to create on top of AI or if they will just only use AI. And I think it's going to be tough to see in the future which way they went.
What are your thoughts on kind of the industry as a whole right now? Specifically, I guess one of the things that's been weighing on me is Microsoft has laid off thousands of people, and then they just went and posted billions in record sales this year. There's always that fear of layoffs and things like that. And what are your thoughts about this apparent push by big names to get rid of people in favor of AI and kind of disregarding the lives of developers?
I think the AI is an excuse. It's not the reality, not quite yet. This is all about profitability, right? And this is all about making the stock go up. And this is about late stage capitalism, right? So that's just the way that the game is played, and it's sad, but it is true. I think that in the future, you're going to see that the bigger companies are going to go, well, we're kind of out of projects. We need something in the near future because we don't have anything 3 years from now. So we got to start something. So I think that the industry will make a little bit of a comeback. I think that companies will start creating new projects again and have money to create new projects because they got to have more revenue and they got to have more products. So I think it'll come back pretty soon.
My last question for you. There is a huge disconnect in the gaming community and understanding what development actually looks like. So I actually have made it kind of my personal mission to try and bridge that gap and help people understand what development really does look like. So lately I've been asking developers, you know, if there's something you had to explain or could explain to the community, something you could tell them to give some sort of light on what the process of development, of creation from start to finish looks like, what would you tell them? It's kind of a hard question.
Tough question. I think that there's a couple things that come to mind. I think that put yourself in the shoes of the developer. It depends on what it is that you're doing because the different jobs are so different that there's different challenges in each one. But for instance, like as a designer, let's say, you would think something simple like a door would be easy for somebody to solve. If you think about a door for a second, it's really complicated. It's actually extremely complicated to design a door. Does the door open towards you? Okay, well, what happens when it bangs into your character? Does it go through your character? Does that look weird? Do all doors open away from you? Is that also weird? And then don't get multiplayer involved. What happens then? So like that kind of gives you a little bit of a tangent of like, it's a lot harder than it looks. Even something simple like a door or something you would think would be simple like a door is extremely complicated. So I think that all development is like that. Something you think would be easy is not. It's not only that, but also development in general is a culmination of millions and millions of decisions that are made every day on a micro level about how everything is with a particular monster or the way that you're attacking something or the sound that it makes. And like all of these different parts coming together to create a whole are made up of tons of decisions from tons of people that are working together. And they're all creative. Most of them have egos. Like it's really tough to kind of like get everybody to communicate that together. Even on a big team, you spend a great majority of your time talking to people and communicating what it is that you need. It reminds me of this old game called Telephone, where I would tell somebody something and then they would tell a friend and come back to me. And it's like, that's not what I said at all. Well, imagine that on a dev team, right? When you've got a couple hundred people and you've got this kind of branching management, by the time it gets down to the person that's doing it, it's like 3 degrees away from the desire of what it was. Who knows what's coming out? And so like the constant communication and oversight, and making sure that everybody understands and is on the same page is a Herculean effort. People don't even really think about when they're thinking about game dev.
That's a really good answer. David, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to everything you guys got coming in the future.
Thank you.
All right, Tom, thank you for having us out to check out Time Crisis on your new tech.
Thank you for coming out.
So very unique because light guns don't work anymore.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us how you guys kind of achieved that? You went over that with me briefly, but let's go a little bit high level so we can, kind of inform them how it all works.
No worries. So obviously going from the CRT TVs, they used to focus on the flashes of light, whereas that no longer happened on the newer TVs. So what we've changed for now is the gun itself has AI inside of it. There's a camera on the end of the gun, and then that will take a photo of the environment you're in, and then utilize the AI to detect where you're pointing on the screen.
Gotcha. From my experience, calibration is super key. I mean, the gun is really responsive. The moment I pull the trigger, I see the flash on screen. It looks really great. But calibration is definitely like a key component. You want to make sure you calibrate, take your time, and do it right?
Yeah, 100%. The calibration is the most important part in the entire setup process. It will be the bit that takes you a little bit longer time, but once you get that right, you're then playing for the rest of the time without calibration again.
So tell me about the partnership you guys made with Namco, because these are obviously their titles.
Yeah.
How did you guys approach that? What were challenges? How did you make that partnership happen?
Yeah, so we've got a team over in Japan who sort of manage that license and that sort of thing. It's been a really good partnership. We've been able to see some unreleased, like drawings and sketches from before Time Crisis was released and how they wanted things to look. It's been great to have them on board and helping us with the approval process and all that sort of stuff.
So the tech that's involved too, you have an actual box, like a set-top box, and then you've got 2 ports in it. Can you tell us a little bit more about the connectivity, how it connects to the TV, what accessories attached to that box, and the different levels of the box?
Yeah, so we've got the box itself. There are 2 main levels of that. We've got the basic package and then the premium and the ultimate package, which is the same in terms of the box. The basic package comes with just Time Crisis on it, whereas the premium and ultimate package comes with all 4 games, which are Point Blank, Time Crisis, Still Gun, Still Gun 2. So those are different aspects, the different levels of the box. The box itself has 4 ports in total. We've got 2 USB-C ports, which are for the gun or the pedal, and then you've got a HDMI in the back, which takes the obviously display output to the TV or monitor or projector or whatever else you're going to connect it to. And then there's another USB-C port in the back, which is for power.
Gotcha. And there's a special button on the controller that we've never had before in the arcades. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, so obviously in the arcades you're putting coins into the machine. Because these are the original games from 30 years ago, we've now got that button integrated onto the gun. No need to spend the pennies anymore on running the game. So you click the button, that'll insert a coin into the game.
You don't intend to expand on this box. This is a one and done kind of product for this. Yeah. But near and dear to my heart is the House of the Dead franchise. Are there any future plans for bringing Time Crisis 2, House of the Dead, those kind of games in the future?
So we've had a lot of requests for House of the Dead, RoboCop, as well as the other Time Crisis games in the series. As you said, we're not playing on any more games for this particular box because it is celebrating Time Crisis' 30th anniversary. However, in the future, our plans are is that we're going to develop more boxes. And as we also had a chat about earlier, the boxes are designed to look like a PS1 game case. And so it's that concept of, if you want extra games, you switch out the box for boxes that have those additional games on.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much.
Appreciate the interview. Thank you for having us out. It's a ton of fun, and look forward to seeing when the product finally releases and we can get our hands on it.
I'm glad you joined us out here, and yeah, absolutely.
All right. Take care. Will, thanks for having us out.
It's a pleasure,
Check
Russ.
out Crimson Desert. Game is amazing. Honestly, you guys nailed player agency in the best way possible.
The devs will love to hear that.
Yeah, it's really good. Controls feel really solid. I think the little bit of feedback I could give is the dodge feels a little bit lagged. I don't know if that was me, but there did feel like there was a slight delay between button press.
Yeah, this isn't even an excuse. I think that in the setup we're using right here, the HDMI has a little bit of latency on it.
Okay.
But yes, noted.
The level of player agency you've given is, I would argue, better than Red Dead Redemption 2, which everybody kind of goes to. You have us do what would be simple tasks, but they provide good reason. I mean, you had us raise those banners, which push the story forward narratively, but they also increase the troops that are going to be on screen fighting along you, moving that front line forward. So you give a narrative reason, and then we actually see the gameplay.
We all play a lot of games ourselves. That's the cool thing about the studio is we're a studio of gamers. So understanding the implications and the results of the actions that you're doing make those actions have much more consequences. So that's why when we communicate something that might seem mundane, when you understand what it's resulting in, then it becomes important.
What is the connection, if any, to Black Desert with Crimson Desert? So obviously Pearl Abyss, also well known for Black Desert Online.
Yes.
Is there any kind of actual connection between the games?
Well, it's a great question, first of all. The interesting thing about it is that answer has changed over the years.
Okay.
Because when Crimson Desert was originally announced, it was both a prequel to Black Desert as well as an MMO. Neither of those things are true anymore. In development, it started to become its own thing. And I believe the developers really leaned into that. And instead of making and enforcing it to be what it originally was, they allowed it to blossom and bloom into a brand new genre, brand new type of game that wasn't held back by any prior conditions of it. Now, Crimson Desert is its own IP that's not related to Black Desert. It's a different desert, you could say.
Yeah.
And it's a single player open world action adventure game rather than an MMO.
Speaking on that open world, how big is the game really aiming to be? I mean, it looks massive. So in terms of gameplay timeline, what are they shooting for?
We're not giving away specifics yet. We have a little bit of time before the game releases to reveal a couple of those things. But here at PAX West, we gave you a first peek behind the curtain. You saw a glimpse into the open world and the size and the scale of it. It's absolutely massive. We're using words very specifically to convey that. We call the land the continent of Pi-Well to evoke that size and scale.
And it tells it. You guys nailed it on that. Combat on its own is incredibly complex, but I think you said it best. You give us a toolkit, and we're the carpenter that gets to decide what tool to use and how it's effective and whether or not we even use another tool in general. What's kind of your favorite moveset that you have? I mean, you've got the heavy spear weapon, you've got sword and shield, you've got magic. What is kind of your go-to for combat?
Well, it's interesting because everyone plays the game differently. And if you try to force a specific playstyle on someone else, that might not be their cup of tea. Me personally, I'm crazy offensively aggressive. I never hit block. It's boring to me. It's like, I'm just going to wail on you and break your poise if I can. So I like, obviously, sword and board is kind of the light weapon. And then there's a warhammer in the game that there's a quick switch option of swapping between light weapon and heavy weapon in real time in a combo during the fight without going into any menuing. That animation into the swap into a warhammer looks like you're teeing off like Happy Gilmore style. And even on the boss, it sends him airborne. And he's like twice your size. So it's really, really fulfilling and rewarding to have that sense of power in the game with the weapon choices.
So talking about the animations, they look incredibly smooth. How did you guys achieve that?
Again, great question. Pearl Abyss at our main studio in Korea, we have the largest motion capture studio in all of Asia. In fact, we have 2 motion capture studios. So all the animations that you're seeing on the enemies, on the characters, all the fight choreography is mocapped on real actors. So that's why it flows so seamlessly one move into the next, because those are actual real movements that are mocapped onto the characters you're seeing in game.
So besides the warhammer, the sword and shield, and the spear that I got to kind of play around with, what other weapons do you guys have that you can tell me are going to be in the game?
Yeah, I mean, you said it best earlier. There's a lot of player choice in this. So we're not going to push you into like, you have to stay in this box. There's axes, there's pole arms, there's long swords, there's spears, there's bows, there's magic on top of it. And while we haven't shown the skill tree and stuff like that, because we're not calling ourselves an RPG, because there are absent a couple things that are pretty central to being an RPG. Experience points and a leveling up system. That's not what this game is. This game allows you to have some RPG elements to create the character that you want to play as from a gameplay style perspective. So you can unlock the skills in a skill tree to gravitate towards your play style around the types of weapons you're using, whether you're more magic focused, more defensively minded for those crazy people that don't like offense.
There hasn't been a lot of story discussed outside of, I think, really here. So what can you tell the audience about the story that you have shown off so they can know kind of a little bit of what we experienced today?
Yeah, so what we experienced today, we played through a chapter in the game that's not the first chapter. You're playing as Cliff, who's a member of a mercenary group called the Greymanes. And they have an opposing force called the Black Bears that they've been struggling with. And that's causing a ton of conflict over this continent. Now there's a civil war that's broken out across the land, and you have to choose sides and help different factions to kind of reclaim power in this imbalance. The Emperor has gone into a magical coma, and that's created a power vacuum, and that spawned a civil war. That's created this chaos. You're in the midst and the throes of this chaos. You're trying to figure out what's happening and really trying to solve some of the mystery surrounding it.
You mentioned choosing factions. Is that going to be a player choice, or is that a narrative that like, hey, this is the faction that Cliff ends up choosing and you're going to play through that? Or is there going to be player choice involved in those, if you can say?
I'm being very careful about what I can say here.
Sure.
There is player agency around leveling up your reputation with certain factions. You saw it within the demo. You did certain actions, and then your reputation within certain factions increased. You can choose to do that by doing optional content or not. What you're playing today was a critical path and main story mission. So in order to progress the story, this reputation would have been increased naturally in order to play through the game.
I guess really the only other thing I've got for you is when can we get our hands on it? When do we get a full release of Crimson Desert?
So really excited. Everyone's going to be able to play it Q1 2026.
Nice.
We're releasing it on PC, on console, on PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, as well as natively on Mac. Simultaneous release across all those platforms in Q1.
Very cool. Well, Will, thanks again for having us here. It was a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Look forward to keeping in touch with you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.